Hello, everybody. Thanks, Edgardo, for joining us today.
Yeah,
Miguel, Andre, this is Edgardo, the project sponsor. Edgardo, these are Miguel Andre. They are the project team, and I'm the project team manager. So this first session is to show a little bit of the work that we have done on the project. And first, I want to discuss the project scope. First, this This purpose, the purpose of this project is to prepare and organize a ticket indoor concert for the local community. To be clear, what this project is not, it's not a multi-day event, meaning it's just one day. It's not a charity event. This is not a free event, meaning people will have to pay to enter the event. It's not a family event, only 18 plus, 19 plus people can enter. This is not outdoors, it's not a full day event, and it's not a celebration of the event. It's a focused single evening concert. So first let me walk you through our milestones. We start with reserving the venue February 2nd, sound and lighting preparation by February 8th, booking or artist by February 22nd, tickets and pricing setup by March 6th, marketing campaign launches March 17th. Safety plan done by March 19th. Staff hired and trained by April 4th. Vendors allocated by April 12th. And rehearsal for the event on April 16th. And the concert day is April 17th.
right. Thank you, Christian. I think the schedule you mentioned is a little tight, and I noticed that you scheduled the rehearsal on the 16th and then the concert day on the 17th. I think that's a little. The schedule is a little hectic for the artist and the staff because you see they might be tired in during the rehearsal night and then they have to perform on the next day. I think it would be best if you can adjust the rehearsal day so that they can have a rest period between the rehearsal and the actual performance day. And also, I would like to point out that we should have the confirmation of the artist and the uh, backup artist as early as possible so that we can proceed with any backup plans should we encounter risk or any delays along the way.
Thank you, Edgario, for your insights. First, I would like to tackle the venue. The venue is actually our first priority. Everything else depends on it. So we have built some buffer into the schedule. Andrew and Miguel will explain a little bit more about the buffers and also what you mentioned about the risks. So we can show you the contingency plans and how the team plans to cover the risks. Right now, I want to walk you through our WBS or work breakdown structure. This WBS is everything that needs to be done before the concert is done. Meaning, first we have the venue, then we have the equipment, artists, tickets, marketing, security, staff, vendor management, event execution, and all the project management work. This the first level here are our deliverables, meaning the basically the big parts of the project, like big steps. And then at the lowest level, we have the work packages. This is the day-to-day task that the team will have to complete in order to work into each deliverable. These these events here, it's called um, are the activities. And here, for example, we have on one day the team will have to check venue schedule for open dates, right? And this is how we plan to move on through the whole project until we complete the concert. Now I want to move on to the the point that you mentioned about the tight deadlines, and for this I want to pass the spot to Miguel so he can talk a little bit more about the schedule.
Thank you, Christian. So for this project, hmm, we prepared a little project network diagram. So what this is just we visualize the events that are going to happen and what's the duration for them, and we have a better understanding on where's our bottlenecks, where's our um, most efficient time, where we have a little bit of extra time to which we call slack time. Um, so here's the diagram. Here we have different paths traced, and there's one that's red. That's called our critical path. The critical path meaning it has no slack time between each event, and each event is identified with a different line. Now, with this, I'll explain you how we understand them, but it's basically with the little table on the side. We have the event IDs and the different type of events. And we have the event number, which is cross reference with our work package. Sorry, not work package, with our WBS, which are the one on the side, the 1.1, 1.2. Now, I do want to make sure, so I want to make something clear before we move on. The work packages, we are not all included into the project network diagram. And the reason behind this is because for the project network diagram, we use for the events, we use something called the 880 rule, and meaning that something that's not able to be done between 8 hours to 80 hours should be split into two different events, or it should be merged into one big event, or one event, two small events merged into one big event. Now, so that's why some of them have been moved. Some of our work packages are done in like 2 hours, so it's really it would look different from the WB at some points. But any questions? Is everything clear for you, Edgardo? I feel like I'm going so fast. Sorry, Edgardo, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no worries, Miguel. Thank you so much for your presentation. For your update on
You
this,
have
yeah, network diagram.
okay.
I'm concerned only on the as you pointed out that the 48 days for the total project. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes. Correct.
I think it's a pretty tight. I think the time allocated for this for the entire project to be successful is very short. What happens if there's any delay? Like for example, in a permit application, what happens if there's a delay in one of the critical tasks?
So let me go over that. Um, so there's a few tasks or like a few events that really or like concern us, not because of time or the team productivity, because for the estimation on the time given to each event was done through our with the team. We asked the team about the productivity ratios, the availability, and then we get these numbers. This is not something we just say out randomly. But in your case, you're inquiring about the permits or the artists. The artist would be my main concern.
Mhm.
So for that, which is something sometimes it's out of your hands. We have allocated extra time as well, and we've also planned out risk and contingency plan in case anything happens. Now, Andre would go over that in a bit. I actually invite Andre to do to answer to you that. Actually, that's probably better.
Actually, yeah, let me explain it to you very clearly, Edgardo, and it's actually a very reasonable concern. In order for me to just add to this, the permit delay is going to be basically the R4. which is going to be also within our risk assessment criteria or the risk register. We have planned to submit to the City of Vancouver as early as possible, and we have been continually following up as actively as well. So basically, I'll cover that in more detail when we actually get to the risk. First of all, I think that we have not yet entered to that stage.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Uh,
But if actually now that we're here, let me continue with that. First of all, thank you very much, guys, for all your concerns. Thank you very much for your time. Now for the risk management, or basically for the risk register, or for the criteria in this case, we have identified eight risk, and we have rated those ones basically on the probability and the impact as well. First of all, let me start with our three biggest concerns. So it's basically going to be the ones in the red zone, or the ones that are categorized as a high level. In this case, let me start with the top three risks. For the first risk, which is going to be called either R1, or in this case, main performer cancels. This is actually going to have a low probability, while the impact is actually going to be really high, just because we would have to refund everybody. And in this case, basically the situation or the strategy that we have basically came up to that we need to have a cancellation clause or a settlement within the contract to basically, and also keep backup local artists in mind. Now, for the second risk, which is going to be the poor ticket sales, the probability is actually medium, but the impact is actually very high. If tickets are not sold, then we just can't cover the venue and the performer costs as expected. So therefore, we're planning early bird pricing and a strong social media push, along with partnering with local businesses, just to engage for an improved cross promotion. Now, for the third risk, which we can also find it here, which is going to be called either R3, or where the sound systems fail during the show. In this case, the probability is actually going to be medium with a high impact. In this case, our plan is actually going to be to do a full sound check just a few hours before the doors open, plus keeping spare cables and microphones on hand for any scenario or any inconvenience, anything that could happen.
hmm.
I'm not sure if Edgardo, you have any basically any questions or any concerns.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Andre. For this, as you mentioned that the top risk for this event is the main performers canceling the contract. So I think I suggest that as early as possible we should secure the contract with the talent manager for this performing artist, so that uh, the risk of cancellation will be mitigated as early as now, uh, or as early as possible. And also, you mentioned about the second risk being the uh, poor ticket sales, and you mentioned that is in a medium probability. So why is not in the high probability that the ticket will have a low sales? Uh, are we confident enough that the can we do uh, proper marketing campaign, or can we find a suitable or very good performing artists so that we can generate more sales? Or
So
yeah.
yeah, Ricardo, to answer your question, when it comes to concerts and entertainment, it really comes down to who you're picking, as you say, what kind of artists are we picking, and also it really comes down to who your the target audience. Like, basically, any product and in any sort of business, if you don't target the right audience, you will get uh like wrong numbers, right? So in this case, we really have to focus on, marketing towards that right audience. But in the sense of the project, we are starting um marketing advertisement campaigns And if we can go back to the work program network, we're starting marketing campaigns as early as, let me see here on the table, advertising plan L. So yeah, after we get financial approval and the tickets are all sorted, we're gonna start um the marketing campaigns, right? Because by that time we will have the information about the artists that we're gonna show up, the costs that are gonna uh you know expecting that we're gonna be expecting from this pulling the money, and we're gonna start doing final countdown posts and countdown content to bring in more hype. So even if we have a rough season or a rough customers per se, we are expecting to turn the table and turn on some profit as well, even in the worst case scenario. So we have planned for that. This is this does this bring peace of mind, or do you want me to walk you over more detail?
Wonderful. Actually, hold on. Thank you very much, Miguel. Thank you very much for your support in this case. And I also think that it's actually going to be a fair point. Added to basically all that this that you have basically mentioning, I think that it would be actually very useful or very helpful to also set a review point. Maybe in this case, 3 weeks before the event, where we basically summarize and analyze all the situations that are either not fully contemplated to be actually happening. In this case, for example, let's set up an example. If we, for example, we have not hit at least 50% of our target point, then we can activate a backup plan, which would be, as you mentioned, Miguel, a heavier promotions and probably even maybe last minute discounts to basically engage more within the community. Having this said, I would actually like to pass to basically the medium and the low risk, so we can basically contemplate all the risks that are going to be within this project. Now, if we have to move on to basically the medium risk, as we can see, the first one's going to be the R4, which is going to be the permit delays, as basically as previously mentioned. On this, we're basically submitting an early and following up with the city of Vancouver, along with basically keeping in mind that we're doing everything up to date to make sure that this is actually one of our priorities. So this should not be having a high level of risk, as we're basically sticking to what we should actually be doing. Now, for example, now we move on to basically the R5, which is going to be going over the budget. We're keeping a 10 to 15% emergency fund just in case. And we're also getting all the vendor prices in writing, just so we have all the details confirmed prior to the event, and no misunderstandings or any scenarios that could affect this could happen. Now, moving on to the sixth risk, which is going to be the venue canceling on us, it's actually going to be a low probability and also with a high impact. In this case, I think that basically we're going to be needing our contract to protect us and also have, as basically mentioned before, a backup venue identified for any inconveniences that could occur within the development of this event. Now, if we are actually going to the low side, or in this case, the green zone, R7 is going to be the first one to come up. In this case, it's going to be where when the ticket holders are not showing up. In this case, this is going to be more likely a low probability with a low impact, since the money has already been collected. What I mean with this is that either basically all the people that are going to be coming within the event, or the ones that we're expecting, they are already paid for their tickets. In most of the cases, they're not going to be miss this event since they already pay for it. We'll also be sending reminder emails and moreover, so we can engage more within the community to prevent this from happening. Which, if it happens, as mentioned before, the level of risk is basically very, very low. Now, to move on to the very last risk, which is going to be the bot PR, or the, in this case, for the complaints. It's actually going to be something that we're going to be monitoring and responding quickly. by engaging with the people that attend the concert in this case. Now, for example, added to that, I think that it's really important to also, I mean, besides the risk summary that it's over here, to basically identify it with a risk map, or basically in this case with a matrix that could show us basically how all these risks are going to be contemplated within the project. In this case, by following up this risk map, we're going to be, as we can see on the bottom right corner, as on the high impact or the red zone, is where our biggest concerns are going to be sitting at. While our R1, R2, R3, and R6 are, as I mentioned already, these ones are going to be on the red zone. R4, R5, and R8 are going to be in the yellow zone or the medium impact, while the R7, which is going to be the low impact, is going to be the only one within the green zone. Therefore, our focus should rely only, or we should prioritize to be monitoring the red zone risk most closely.
Thank you, Andre, for that overview. So, Edgardo, what are you thinking about the project? What are your feelings? Do you have any more questions right now?
Yeah. Thank you, Christian, for asking me. I have few concerns about this risk. I was informed that in the venue the alcohol will be served, or vendors will be selling alcohol, and there is no mention in the risk factor about this possible liability that may arise resulting to the effect of alcohol consumption. So I would like to remind everyone that I think we should secure an event liability insurance to cover up to cover a possible liability, or to mitigate the risk involving alcohol consumption in the event. So that is
Thank you.
just my concern. So I would like to remind you to look into that. And yeah, I think
Make sure
Christian. Yeah.
make sure to make note of that. We're still figuring out the whole total cost for everything. We're not planning to go over $100,000 for the project. S- Um, but yeah, we'll make note of that for an insurance and definitely put that under on our plan, and then I'll note that for our next meeting when we have better structure and better a clear vision of what the costs are gonna be, mm, down the line.
Yeah, thank you, Miguel, for working within the budget.
Yeah, I I know it's really important for you to really make this work, and I know it's really important for you, and we really care about the staying, meeting that budget. So we're really pretty putting a focus on that when we're building the cost for this.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
discuss
you,
it in
Miguel.
our next meeting. Christian, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miguel. So now, Edgardo, I would like to move on with the stakeholder analysis. So this also maybe should help clear some of your doubts. This stakeholder analysis basically says which are the stakeholders that we are affecting, right? Who have high influence or high interest in this project. For example, you being the project sponsor have a high influence and high interest. I mean, we should keep you close, keep inform you daily or
Manage.
more manage. Yeah, it's more. We should keep more a closer eye on you. Then, for example, you mentioned about the city of Vancouver. I'm pretty sure. So here we have city of Vancouver for the permits. The city of Vancouver has high influence but low interest. This means that the city of Vancouver, the decisions that the city may have shapes a lot of the outcome of this concert, but they don't really care about it. They are not that interested in the project. They just have high influence. Here we can show you another lead sound and lighting has a low influence and high interest, meaning that they basically cannot shape or they cannot have too much influence on how the whole concert is going to be planned, but it's a team that we have to work closely. Now, if we move forward, here we can see um, a whole image of the stakeholder analysis. We have low interest, high influence. We have high interest, high influence, high interest, low influence, and low interest, low influence. So for the high interest, high influence, we have to manage closely, as I mentioned before. These are day-to-day operations. We have to communicate very frequently. And for low interest, low influence, we don't really keep up with them that much, right? Usually, we don't let high interest or manage closely stakeholders too much, because the more stakeholders we keep closely, the more complex the tasks is, right? So if the if the task becomes very complex, then it will cost you way more money. So that's why we have closely chosen the stakeholders that we're picking right now. And yeah, would you like to add anything else, Edgardo? I think.
Yeah, I can see that there's a lot of regulatory entities in the matrix that you have presented. So that's they have, although they have low interest in the project, they have high influence. That means they can have the power to stop our project from happening. So I suggest that you work closely with these government authorities, with these entities, and keep them satisfied for all the regulatory requirements that we need to submit to them as early as possible, so that we can proceed smoothly with our project.
All right, Tim. Thanks, Edgardo, for joining us today. Uh, we are taking notes of all your concerns, how the permits or the tight deadlines. We'll make sure to keep you updated on those topics. And yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, Andre, I think you have anything to add?
To be honest, I think that should be it. We are gonna be start working on obviously all these details that have not been fully wrapped up. For an example, I will be either formalizing the ticket sales review point and then the threshold. But if you're comfortable with the plan overall, I think that this is something that we can probably be discussing on during the next week with updates, along with different notes for the following meeting. But
Yeah, I
overall,
agree.
yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Awesome. See you again. See you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for your updates, and see you in the next meeting.